Alright, my name is Braden, and I am showing you guys my Silas Krark deck. This is my CEDH, my most competitive deck that I have. This deck has won me lots of games, done very, very, very well for me, and I'm gonna start going into tournaments with it to see how it does on the online world, as I've only played like in my local LGSs and with my friends who play like high-powered CEDH. So I've been doing this for years and years and years. I have been in the CEDH community. I've been playing CEDH for 6 years, and I've been playing this deck specifically for 4.5-ish. So why Krark? Why Silas? A lot of people automatically assume right off the bat that Silas has like no meaning to be there except for the color. However, his passive of whenever you deal combat damage to a player, I can choose a target artifact card in my graveyard and I can cast it this turn. That ability actually is super great, and I'll get into that more later. However, of course, Krark, he is the main value engine in the deck. He is sitting there, and you might be wondering, well, I don't see a Sakashima on your deck list, and you're in blue. Why don't you run at least Sakashima in the 99? It's because I already have things that can copy Krark, like Harmonic Prodigy, Vagrant Voiced Duality. You have Roaming Throne, and then I have things in my deck like Twinning Staff, who, whenever you make a copy of something, another copy is created, and you can respond to that with the Krark trigger on the stack. So, for example, I could like flash in a Dualcaster Mage and then guarantee that my Krark flip automatically happens. I'm sorry, I can guarantee that my Krark flip doesn't stop me from at least getting one copy. So even if the Krark flip says no, my Dualcaster Mage says I at least get one. And then if I have a Twinning Staff on the field, that Dualcaster Mage generating me just one spell is now generating me two. So you can get massive, massive value just off of Krark if he does say yes, but then my deck's also set up to do things to where you don't necessarily need Krark in all circumstances. In fact, a lot of times people keep me off Krark, and I easily win with or without Krark on the field. I think that's why this deck is so good, because it's super versatile. People don't really know what to expect. So let me walk you guys down some lines so people can start knowing what to expect when they play against me, or people who choose to run a deck similar to mine here. I guess go over my win lines. I do have like 9-ish win lines in the deck. If some of them are like more janky than others. Of course, you have the Fastest Oracle, Demonic Consultation, or Tainted Pack lines. Those can go really quick. You can win turn one. You throw down a Badlands, a Jeweled Lotus, and a Lion's Eye Diamond. You cast Krark with 2 red, with the Jeweled Lotus. You tap the Badlands for a black. You cast Demonic Consultation. You have your Krark trigger. People pass on it. You resolve it. You get Thassa's Oracle. You then have a second copy, and if no one can respond to you because they kept greedy hands, of course, in response to the copy of Demonic Constellation, before you pass priority C, if anybody can interact with you, you have to sack your LED, which is risky, but you have to sack your LED for 3 blue while your copy of Demonic Consultation is on the stack. So you sack it for 3 blue, you get your Thassa's Oracle, your then original will then resolve, and then you will play Thassa's Oracle and win the game. So that's like, or same thing with Tainted Pact. So it's pretty good, it's pretty great, and then of course if you have Thassa's Oracle in your hand, as well as a Consultation or a Tainted Pact, you can then play it and then be like, well, I'm just going to get value here. I'm going to get some interaction. So then you can literally search for interaction because you know you're not going to hit your Krark because your Krark, you're not, because you know you're not going to hit your Thassa's Oracle because your Thassa's Oracle is going to be in your hand. So sorry, I talk really fast. If you're still following, that's great. If not, sorry, I lost you. However, the nice thing about it is you can grab the interaction with the first copy of like your Tainted Pact, and then the second copy you can go down to like 1 or 2 cards left, draw that card, and then play your Thassa's Oracle, and then now you have backup for that cast of Thassa's Oracle. So it can be pretty awesome. It can be pretty great. This deck can explode, but it also does amazing in like mid-range slower play. So I have all these things, and one of the things you're going to say is, wow, Grixis not running Adnaz. That is correct. I'm not running Adnaz. I have a lot of things in my deck that I don't want to hit with an Adnaz, like an Archmage, like a Flame Dancer. Even a Dualcaster Mage kind of hurts. Jace's Archivist, Magus of the Wheel, Marilyn of the Mornsong, Opposition Agent, Roaming Throne, Stormkiln Artist, Talion. I have a lot of high CMC cards in this deck that I found, and Adnaz doesn't really do great for me. Krark, if Krark's on the field and he says no to 5 mana tapped, it feels really bad. If he says yes, it still feels bad because you don't really need 2 of them ever. And yeah, I mean, I guess the only really great thing about it is if they counter one, uh, then you still get one. But if the table knows they can only counter one because they talk and chat and say, "Oh, I can counter one. Can anyone else counter one?" And then people go, "Oh no." Well, then they go, "Well, I'll just keep it for something else then because there's no reason to counter one of them because he'll get the other, and you just don't need two." So that card out of my deck. I am running Talion, the Kindly Lord. So Talion is one of my draw engines. I guess my card engines I have is Ristic Study, Mystic Morar, Fish, Magus of the Wheel, Jace's Archivist, Talion the Kindly Lord, Archmage Emrys, Flame Dancer, Taxing Probe, Jessica's Will, Time Twister, Wheel of Fortune, Bolts Citadel, Sensei's Divine Top, Vexing Bauble, which is OP, Power Balance, which I'm still kind of trying that out. It's done pretty good for me though in a lot of games. Waste Not and Necropotence. So those are like my quote-unquote draw engines or my card engines, as I like to call them. They don't all necessarily draw me cards, but they do give me immense value. So we have the fastest lines, and then of course we have Honorable Breach LED lines with Brain Freeze or Wheels and Lotus Petals. We have that whole combo. We have another win line for number 3 is like Dual Caster Mage, Saw in Half, Oakish Bowmasters. You could also do like a hard value line with these cards with like Dual Caster Mage, Saw in Half, and Dockside. And create like infinite treasures, infinite dual caster mages, things like that. With Bowmasters, though, you get the infinite work army, you get to ping all your opponents down. Oh, I also have the One Ring for a card engine that is very notable to add in there. I didn't tell you that, but yeah, the One Ring. Add that to my list here. And then number 4 for my win lines, I have top, since it's Divine Top, Aether Flux Reservoir, and Balls Citadel. The main thing there is the Aether Flux Reservoir, the Balls Citadel, and the top. Those mainly combo with my power balance and my counterbalance. However, they do quote unquote, combo with Aether Flux Reservoir. But my 5th, I guess, win line is Grape Shot, because Aether Flux Reservoir can win you the game with your target, getting tons of life and then killing everybody. And then Grape Shot is technically a different win con because I can generate insane storm and then just cast Grape Shot and win the game, which happens all the time. My 6th win con is more of like a hard lockout, so that's Opposition Agent and Marilyn of the Mornsong. And this is actually usually what I start the game off with. I will play my Krark, I'll play this, play that. I'll cast like a Beseech the Mirror, and I'll bargain it. I'll win the coin flip, and then I will go get 2 cards from my deck and put them in exile, and I will play them without paying their mana cost. And I usually will always get Marilyn of the Mornsong, and I'll play Marilyn of the Mornsong, and if it resolves and everybody passes on it, I will then play Opposition Agent. And what that does is Marilyn of the Mornsong, what she says is players can't draw cards, period. So not at all. Nothing. They cannot draw cards, whether it's in any way. It's not possible to draw a card with Marilyn of the Mornsong on the field. So as long as her abilities, there. She also says, though, at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player loses 3 life, searches his or her library for a card, and puts it into his or her hand, then shuffles his or her library. So, when you have Merit of the Mornsong and Opposition Agent, which Opposition Agent lets you search for your opponents and then you get that card, your opponent will lose 3 life. You will then search their library. A lot of people don't know this for some reason, but when you have Opposition Agent on the field, you're allowed to look at your opponent's hand. So you will look at their hand, you will see if they have any way to get rid of your lockout, and if you do, you will get something from their deck that prevents them from interacting with your lockout. So it's pretty fun. Or if they don't, you'll grab like a win con from their deck, so even if the combo gets taken away, you take out their win con. You take out their Citadel, you take out their whoever you're going against, you take out their main win line. So yeah, the next thing, so that's a pretty OP combo. The next one that we have in the deck here is like Bowmasters with like a Time Twister, a Wheel of Fortune, Jace of Archivist, Magus of the Wheel. So some people say like, oh man, Magus of the Wheel, I run that in like my casual decks. Like, why is this in your CEDH deck? Like, that's weird. Or Jace's Archivist. I don't think I've ever seen anyone else play a Jace's Archivist in CEDH. I highly recommend these cards to people because I think they're absolutely broken. I don't run Windfall in my deck because Jace's Archivist is Windfall on a stick, but it's better because you can activate it at instant speed on anyone's turn as soon as you've gone 1 round with him on the field, right? As long as he doesn't have Summoning Sickness. Now, some people will just say, "Oh yeah, you can just remove it." Yeah, you could just remove it. However, when there's a Kennen on the board, or there's a Nadu on the board, or a Magda on the board, and then there's Jace's Archivist, who are you really gonna get rid of? I mean, come on, let's be real here. So these things don't get targeted. Magus and Jace's Archivist really don't get targeted. And what happens a lot of times when I play these cards and they're on the field, they resolve, is people dump their hands that next turn cycle because they assume that the next time I get to my turn, uh, I'm gonna then wheel. So what ends up happening is they dump their hand, and then it comes to my turn, and then I'm like, I'll just do this, this, and this for more value, and then I'll pass turn. And because now I have card advantage. Now I'm up. I have 5 cards in my hand, and you guys all have 1 or 2. Like, I'm not gonna wheel and give you guys all a fresh 7 right now. No way. Another thing that these cards do that's super super great is if someone goes for a Thassa's Oracle win line, and you need to force them to draw a card, you can then force them to draw a card with both of these. And a lot of times players will forget that these cards are on the field, or they won't even try to go for the win line, and they'll have to just hold those win lines in their hand, and then I will, activate it, and then all of a sudden their win line, their Thassa's Oracle is now in the bin. So it can keep people off of Thassa's Oracle lines, which is pretty awesome. And then of course, if you do have Bowmaster, you get all those triggers, and it can lead to you getting massive advantages that lead to you going for the win. So I put that in there. It's like a pseudo win line. Really though, I have another one, which is the Chthonian Nightmare, Oakish Bowmaster, and Dockside Loop. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with that now. You have to have one of your creatures in the graveyard, right? Let's say your Dockside's in the graveyard. You can sack your Oakish Bowmaster to go get Dockside back, blinking your well, not blinking, but returning the Nightmare back to your hand, recasting it, sacrificing Dockside, getting Bowmasters, pinging everybody, and just do the loop infinite times. If no one has interaction, or you have a ton of interaction to stop them from interacting with you, they blow all their interaction on this loop, and then you defend it, right? So that's just another way you can go for the win. And then, of course, when you're really screwed in a pinch, you have Varian Voice of Duality and Stormkill and Artist to go infinite with. Not infinite, but infinite +1/+1 counters until end of turn. You can make infinite treasures with Stormkill and Artist, and then you just swing for combat damage. So that can also technically be another win line that you do. You could saw in half your Stormkill and Artist at instant speed, then flash a Dual Caster Mage in at instant speed, creating a massive storm on end step of the person before, right before they go, as they're going to pass turnover to you on their end step, or before end step or whatever. You just, hey, I want priority before you pass turn, and then you just throw down your combo. You get yourself infinite treasures, and then you go to your turn, and you get infinite Stormkill and Artists, and they're all massive because you have tons and tons and tons of treasures. So then you just swing out and win the game. So you can do crazy stuff like that in this deck. Of course, you're running the typical blue package interaction. I do have counterbalance over Mana Drain. However, I am considering putting Mana Drain back in. I do have 12 interactive spells in blue. And then, of course, I have red cards and black cards in the deck as well. One of the swamps, one of the best black cards is Deadly Rollick. Being able to exile someone's Dockside so they can't do crazy loops, or being able to exile a threat when someone's looping things, is pretty great. And Krark Sakashima doesn't have that ability to pull out a Deadly Rollick, but when you're running Krark and Silas, you do, and it's quite powerful. Another combo with a red deck, which is very notable since it's a newer card, is Flare of Duplication. So Flare of Duplication absolutely breaks Krark's deck. Insane. So you can sacrifice a red non-token, creature, or just cast it. You can just pay the 3 and cast it, no big deal. And if Krark says yes to the spell, you then have infinite copies. So you cast Flare of Duplication. Flare of Duplication then copies with the Krark trigger. The copy of Flare of Duplication will target the original spell on the stack of Flare of Duplication, creating a copy of Flare of Duplication, copying the original Flare of Duplication infinite times. So if you have an Archmage Emrys on the field, you can then draw as many cards as you want in your library, because every time you cast or copy, you get Flame Dancing triggers, where anytime you cast or copy, these things happen on the card. Pretty OP. Same with Stormkiln Artist. You can get infinite treasures. So it's very, very easy to be like, hey, I cast a Beseech the Mirror, boom, I'm gonna get Stormkiln Artist, and then I'm going to get a Flare of Duplication, and now all of a sudden I have infinite treasures. And then you go for the win after that with some other cards in your hand or whatever it may be. So this deck can explode very, very rapidly. And a lot of it's all about 2-card combos. You cast a Demonic Tutor. Like, how are you going to go get to your win lines, right? You're going to cast a Demonic Tutor. And then you're going to be like, all right, I can go get a, I'll go ahead and go get a Tutsin's Divine Top. And I'll go ahead and grab a Pulse Citadel because I already have the 8th Flux Reservoir on the field. No problem. Boom. You could say, all right, I have a Oaker's Bowmaster on the field, or I have a Dockside on the field. So I'm going to go get Dualcaster Mage and then Oaker's Bowmaster or the Dockside, whatever one you don't have. Or if you have Dualcaster Mage in your hand, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to go Bowmaster, so I'm going to go get Dockside. You cast Dockside first, you let it resolve, you then cast your Sonhalf, and then you throw in the Dualcaster Mage on top of that, Flash Speed, and then boom, all of a sudden you just explode the whole table. It's really, really OP and powerful. Now, another thing that I'm running in here is Leyline of Anticipation. So Leyline of Anticipation is pretty amazing in this deck. So Ashling Flame Dancer is a very new card that just came out. And if you don't know, this card has Magecraft. So whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you discard a card, then draw a card. And if it's the second time that you discard a card or draw a card, then you get to do 2 damage to each opponent and all the creatures that they control. If it's the third time, then you generate 4 red mana. And that red mana never goes away. No red mana that you ever tap for will ever go away as the phases end, which is pretty awesome. It's really, really great. Super hardcore value. So a combo that I do is I will do like if I have like a Leyline on the battlefield, or I have cast or Pawn of Wind, and now I can play things at instant speed, or I use the land, whatever the heck it's called, Emergence Zone, right? And I can do things as though they had flash. This card now basically says, you draw a card, you cast that card if you can. If you can't, you discard a card and then do the next card. And you can go through your entire library and you can instantly cast all your shenanigans, get insane value, have all this mana that you build up. You're gonna, yeah, it goes nuts. It just blows up. You have cards like Twinning Staff. I've kind of talked about it a little bit. Gives you insane value. You're gonna end up losing track of your triggers if you don't read your cards carefully. With how strong you can just explode at any moment. Now, Vexing Bubble. This is one of the newest cards that I added to the deck list, of course, because it's from Modern Horizons 3, and it is so good with Silas. So there are times in my games where I choose to play Silas over Krark, and it happens quite a bit because you actually don't need Krark to win the game, like at all. But he's just an extra value piece. He's just there to help you try to explode quickly. But you can still do that without him. So sometimes I'm like, okay, in my hand, I have a Jeweled Lotus. I have a mana, a few land, right? A Jeweled Lotus. I want to play a land, a Jeweled Lotus, and I'm going to cast Silas. Because then the next round, I'll attack with Silas. He's got Death Touch. Most people don't block with him. Or they don't have a blocker to even block with him at all. So I will swing it, and then I'll just get my Jeweled Lotus back from the graveyard. I'll crack it for Krark. Another OP combo is, let's say I can get a Silas out turn 1. But I also have a Vexing Bauble. I then will cast Silas. I'll cast Silas. Crack the Jeweled Lotus. I'll crack Silas. I'll play Silas, and then I will play my Vexing Bauble. And then what I'll do is on the end step of the person before me, before they pass priority. As they pass priority, I will then take priority, and I will sack my Vexing Bauble before my turn. I will untap, upkeep, draw a card, right? Enter combat. Then play first I'll play all my free spells in my first main, and then I will loop Vexing Bauble from my graveyard back to the battlefield, saxing the other players out, which is very, very great. And then if I need free interaction, or the table's like, hey, I have free interaction, and if I can't deal with it, I'll be like, all right, I'll sack the Bauble in response. The nice thing is every time I do this, I get to draw a card. So you're like drawing cards off of Silas now. He's like giving you the ability to draw cards. Another thing that Silas does really, really well is like people will kill like my Citadel, and I'll just like get it back the next turn, no problem. Or just like all sorts of like value value things. Krark's Thumb, people like to kill Krark's Thumb. Well, cool. I'll swing with Silas and I'll get my Krark's Thumb back. No big deal. Since it's Divine Top, same thing. Twinning Staff, same thing. These really good artifacts that are, you know, Aetherflux Reservoir that I enjoy having in my deck that are pretty good. They can all be brought back with Silas, which is just amazing. So the deck has the ability to just pop off and explode. The deck has the ability to like slow play and kind of grind it out. The deck has insane amount of combos. This video would be hours and hours long if I talked about every single individual card and how it interacts with every other card. Another kind of fun card is the new Gates, Gates of Madara, or however you say it, Talon Gates. This card is amazing. It's an awesome interaction piece. You can play land for turn, you can pass. And then if you have 4, you know, land, or you have like a Mana Crypt and an Ancient Tomb that's untapped, and there's like a Hullbreaker Horror on the field, there's something wild that you don't want to deal with when it comes to your turn. Before, like, it's your turn, like on person before you, right? You can just play this from your hand by paying the 4, and then you can phase out their creature, and it won't come back to the beginning until, well, till the beginning of their turn, kind of, or the untap. Anyway, so it gets there when their, you know, their creature's gonna phase out. So this can allow you to get rid of like Dranith. This can allow you to get rid of that green one that shuts up artifacts, a Collector Roof. It can, you know, hit anything that you need, any creature that you need to get out that's in your way. And be like, boom, phase out, no big deal. So this card's super, super great. As you can see, I only run 25 land. It used to be 22 land, but I've added some more land in since like some new land has come out that have been pretty good. I've taken some other cards out, and yeah, so this is like kind of what I've come down to. Another really cool thing with Ashlings is with Strike It Rich, it has flashback, so you can cast the Strike It Rich with the Ashling trigger when you have 4 red mana, right? And then you can use still the remaining 3, and then you can cast Strike It Rich for its flashback cost. So it's really, really powerful to keep like the Ashling Flame Dancer chain kind of continuing. Yeah, so if you have any questions, oh, another really cow thing with this deck with Layla of Anticipation, it doesn't only just combo with Ashling Flame Dancer, same with the land and same with Beseech the Mirror, it also combos with Necropotence and Waste Not. So Waste Not and Necropotence, Waste Not's cool because when they go to discard, they discard cards at their end step, and then that gives me priority in their end step. So then I'll draw a card. There's going to be priority that happens. Like I'll draw a card because it adds the Waste Not trigger to the stack, and then you can respond to that. You be like, okay, I'm going to play Beseech. I'm going to play can't think of the word. All of a sudden I forgot it. Bore Upon a Wind. I'll play Bore Upon a Wind in response to my Waste Not trigger. And now I have things at instant speed. I'll then draw a card, and then boom, you win the game. Like that happens all the time for me. It's super powerful. And if you have a Leyline on the field, then one of the lines, if I have Leyline in my hand, I usually try to tutor or get Necropotence to my hand as soon as possible, play Necropotence, and then win the game in my end step with Necropotence. Leyline is like, when I have that in the field, you know for sure that's 100% when I'm going to be going and doing most of the time. Of course, my hand always determines that, you know, what I decide to do and who I'm going against. But if Leyline's on there, there's a high chance that's what I'm going to be doing here. Urza Saga, another really good target you can hit with Urza Saga is Vexing Bauble, just to throw that out there for people. Pretty awesome combo there. But yeah, I mean, that's the majority of my deck and kind of what I do with it. A lot of times Jessica's Will is a really big card for me, and if I do have a Dualcaster Mage in hand and I don't have the other combo pieces, I will respond to the copy of Jessica's Will being completed. Maybe I get 7 or 6 or 5 red mana before the original one resolves. I will then flash in Dualcaster Mage to get an extra copy of Jessica's Will. People don't see that coming. That happens quite a bit for me, and that's a pretty good little combo. And then if for some reason I'm able to like flip into a saw in half or something, I can then win the game from there. So it can get pretty explosive very, very fast. You can run snap lines and untap all your land and return creatures to the hands. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with this deck. It's so versatile. So yeah, that's why I play it. That's why I think it's super good. Try it out. Let me know what you think. And yeah, have a good night.